hiring, cronies or something like that. But I have always thought, so what does this comment mean? This comment means that like the core users of Kalshi are wondering whether or not they want to continue to be core users of Kalshi. And I think this is one place where like traders' vision for Kalshi is probably like rubbing up against what Kalshi's vision for Kalshi is. And maybe that's like a meta way to back into this entire soap opera. So should I continue down this path, or am I getting too abstract?
No, I was thinking in the same vein. I mean, to me, this is just kind of you can talk in theory about what the rise or fall of different betting platforms means, but this is just a very real, practical illustration to me of a reality that whatever these companies think that they're competing against each other or fighting for market share, I just don't see it that way. I think there's a group of people who want to trade on politics. They're looking for different lines. They're looking for variety. They're more than happy to trade on these. But when one falls, it's not like the other side immediately benefits from it. It's more the case that traders are left disillusioned, unhappy, and they may just kind of walk away from the political betting thing altogether.
Yeah. So I think there's two stories here. The first one is the one that you just named, which is like we would make this mistake when I was working on shitty TV shows. Like we'd be writing shitty episodes and we'd be like, oh, well, the next set, like episode 7 is going to be good. Like, people will forget episode 6. That's not true. A lot of people watch a shitty episode and they just stop watching the show. So I don't think that there's any guarantee that like traders will take their business over to Kalshi. Like probably a lot of them will just quit trading. But I think what traders are missing and what they're forgetting is who says that they're even the market that a venture-backed company with $100 million cares about? Clearly Kalshi didn't raise 30 or 50 or $200 million or whatever the number is so that they could service 100,000 to 300,000 PredictIt traders. Like clearly the vision is something different. If you look at the markets that they're offering, in which by inference are the highest priority markets for them to offer, they look a lot more like the types of things that you would call an executive over at like E-Trade, or that you would like want to push people who are just conventional investors into. It's like I don't think it's a guarantee that they really even care about political gamblers as the destiny of the product. So I think that the customers and the business are sort of out of sync with what they think the market is, and this event is really bringing that into focus.
Look, I mean, right in like the midst of this PredictIt news, when Twitter is just ablaze talking about this and whatever, I mean, Kalshi sent out one of their newsletters, and literally, I mean, this newsletter featured the opportunity to hedge against hurricanes, right?
Yeah.
So now, obviously, I mean, this speaks to their limitations regulation wise, but given that their markets, just to put it bluntly, are not exactly the most riveting ones. Like if I were at Kalshi, I would view PredictIt as just like the greatest free lead gen that anyone could have. I mean, you couldn't buy something that good. Like PredictIt has done all the work of attracting gamblers, building community, and whatever, some of which is just going to Kalshi. So whatever their role is, like I think my unsolicited advice to them would be to view PredictIt as a asset to their company, not a competitor to be stomped away.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put a business face on that. I mean, PredictIt has those comments board on its website, which I wish everything had, and I think all traders wish those were on everything. But like not most of, but like a very large portion of web traffic that Star Spangled Gamblers gets comes from PredictIt's discussion boards. More than Twitter, more than like most things that you would think of. And of the people who come from those discussions boards, the vast majority of them, 70 or 80% of them, have never visited Star Spangled Gamblers, seen a meme tweet, heard a podcast. They're absolute first time users. So what does that tell you? That tells you that there's this enormous reservoir of people who are interested in political prediction, who are interested in futures, and they haven't heard of us. We've been doing this for almost 3 years, 2.5 years now. Like we're spamming those boards constantly. So there's this huge pool of users who know so little about the space, and all you have to do is just appear in it and you can get their business. Like the idea that is a risk and not an asset to your business development is such an incorrect reading of the marketplace as it exists today. Now, that's why I say it might be the case that we're just not the market they care about. Like we're just the market that exists on the way to something else. And if that's the case, then like, fine, they're entitled to, build the business that they want. It doesn't have to be the one I want.
I completely agree. I don't have anything to add to
that. Okay. All right. Last one.
Yeah.
I think we can, I'm going to read this one because I'm going to skip some of it. This is from Andrew. Nice biblical name there, Andrew the Apostle. Thanks again for your attention to this predicted issue. Enjoyed the podcast. ... Just a hunch. Another potential issue could be bettors in the various markets who start calling, tweeting various election centers to try and get insight. Okay, so he's saying another thing that might piss off the government is that traders like spamming and calling government institutions for info. Quote, like in the Iowa Dem primary market, there was a point where turnout at this random unreported nursing home was relevant to who would win between Buttigieg and Sanders, and a bunch of bettors started calling the nursing home at like 4 a.m. asking for the vote count. I bet that happens. I hear that laugh. I bet that happens with election officials too, or maybe random like unincorporated addresses where Kanye West campaign is said to exist. I bet that happens with election officials too, and maybe there have been complaints. So basically, PredictIt traders are obnoxious and borderline autistic, lack social skills, and have blown themselves out with the federal government just by being so annoying and persistent. That I'm going to rate that as highly credible.
So, yeah, I thought this was a good comment to talk about another facet of this issue, which is that I'm very much of the view, generally speaking in life, that like when there's a problem or an issue, the first place you should turn is inward and see what responsibility you might have. And there's a lot that we as traders cannot control, but there is a lot that we can control, one of which is our own behavior and the way that we engage in these markets. And a lot of the way that we react and respond to these markets, I think, will ultimately influence how regulators see whether or not the theoretical promise of political prediction markets live up to the reality. And I think Andrew points to a good example where, on the one hand, political prediction markets have this incredible ability to turn people who are, maybe casual observers at best about politics and get them highly engaged. That's a good thing. And I think that when people seek out information from their government and publicize it and so forth, that's a public service. On the other hand, I mean, when you're harassing nursing homes and like threatening attacks against presidential candidates, I mean, that's probably crossing the line. So, I guess what I would say is, for the next few months, at least, all of us in this community will be under a certain microscope. And for the sake of, the broader community and the future of these markets, I don't know, conduct yourself like a good American, I guess.
What does that even mean anymore?
Don't violently threaten people. Don't harass people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
probably a low bar.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking about the last couple of years. I can't think of a lot of prominent elected officials who could clear that bar.
So. Or how about this? Don't be a good American, be a good citizen.
There you go. I think that works, but I'm not sure. Okay. All right. Well, that's enough of this. This has been Star Spangled Gamblers. We will be, we sort of have, I will say this as King Dog, El Presidente, we now perceive ourselves as having a dual mandate. So we'll be coming with you, as always, to follow the news and find advantages in it or insights that the fake news media overlooks. But we're going to stay on this beat because the future survival and growth of this industry is very much in play right now. So we won't be taking our eyes off that. And we look forward to your continued input in how we do that and what happens from here. So Pratik, as always, thank you for joining. Is it part of your shtick that you just never say goodbye?
Oh, I figured we're transitioning to Zoltar.
Well, we're hopefully transitioning to Zoltar.
All right.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.